Hello everyone, today I'm going to be looking at who is at the greatest risk for a major hurricane for the 2023 hurricane season. Take this with a grain of salt because it's still a bit far out, but I've mainly been looking at all named storms, tropical storms, hurricanes, and major hurricanes, which I still will focus on that a bit today, but mainly on major hurricanes. Without further ado, let's get started. To start off, we're going to look at the current sea surface temperatures around the world. We see in the Eastern Pacific that it is warmer than average. It went from below average to above average very quickly. And we see specifically off the South American coast, very close to it, is those most above average sea surface temperatures. But we see it's still widespread. And for the current sea surface temperatures, the most similar analog I could find was the NMME. While it's not exactly on point, it does show widespread above average sea surface temperatures in the Eastern Pacific. While there is some analogs that do some parts better, overall this is the best analog I could find. Using the NMME analog, we see a consensus for storm tracks. The highest storm track areas using the NMME solution, which is most similar to the current sea surface temperatures in the Eastern Pacific, we see popular storm track areas in the Atlantic are through the Gulf into the Florida Panhandle, as well as through the Carolinas, a little bit of eastern Florida, as well as Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and the Bahamas, as well as out to sea storms and Bermuda storms. And the two hurricane seasons that most closely matched the NMME solution and consensus were the 2006 and 2018 hurricane seasons. We're starting with 2006, where we see a Carolina storm and a Florida Panhandle storm, as well as the Cuba, Bahamas, and one getting near the Dominican Republic, as well as Puerto Rico. While none of them are major hurricanes, all of the major hurricanes go out to sea. This does show that the highest risk areas are the Florida Panhandle, the Carolinas, the Bahamas, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, the Carolinas, and partially Puerto Rico. While none of them are major hurricanes, this does still outline the greatest risk for named storms in general, like tropical storms. The second season was 2018, where we had Hurricane Florence devastate the Carolinas, as well as Hurricane Michael devastating the Florida Panhandle. Both major hurricanes. So if we use this, not only do we see that those are the two main areas for United States landfalls overall, like tropical storms, but also major hurricanes. So for the United States, we're going to go with the Carolinas, and mainly on top of that, the Florida Panhandle, as well as we see Cuba getting near, the Bahamas getting near, and the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico getting close to a threat as well. Not exactly major hurricanes, but they are up there in the threats as well. Not as much as Florida Panhandle and the Carolinas, but still something to watch for them. To back up my claim for the Florida Panhandle and the Carolinas, specifically the Florida Panhandle being at the greatest threat, we see the CFS shows below average here, especially in the Gulf of Mexico and off the coast near Florida, where storms going towards the Carolinas will go to, as well as the Bahamas, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. And sea surface temperatures are highest off the coast of the Florida Panhandle and Florida in general, and they also get much higher off the Carolinas, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, the Bahamas, and Cuba. So this further backs up my points in this video, where those are going to be the greatest areas for the tropical storms, and tropical storms mainly, and also major hurricanes and hurricanes, specifically being a threat to the Florida Panhandle and the Carolinas, and like I said, specifically the Florida Panhandle. So that's going to do it for this. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.